We should talk then too, since this was your first writing and directing assignment, and you ultimately
superior.
You wrote and directed 3 X-Files in addition to coming up with some stories from season 2, Colony Anasazi, Avatar, Until Ithakumi. You did story, co-writer on Sixth Extinction 2, Amor Fati, and the Last Temptation of Christ episode, and then the writer-director on The Unnatural, Hollywood AD, and William. And we'll get to yours momentarily, because Gillian wrote and directed one too. But I want to ask you, David, about first tracing that kind of history from first coming up with stories in like season 2, and then eventually getting to the writing and directing point. If you could talk about that.
Well, I don't think I would have been able to direct when I first started the show, and I didn't even think I could direct maybe the 4th or 5th year. It just was something that I had to do to learn it. I mean, you don't know how much you think you don't know how much you don't know. I don't know what it is. It's a weird feeling. There's a lot of people that help you do what you do when you direct, and you don't know that until you direct. So you think you have to know everything, and it's not possible. Unless you're Steven Soderbergh, who kind of, he lights, he shoots, he writes, he directs, so he can do it, but I couldn't. And I just, what was the question?
Well, let's start with like the stories. Like the first story you came up with was for Colony.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that, but I will tell you, I talked to Chris about where we're going, like the mythology stuff, where are we going, and we'd kind of just bullshit back and forth, and I guess I gave him enough stuff that he would give me story credit on a couple, but I wasn't writing on those.
Were you did you come up with the Bounty Hunter, or?
No, I didn't come up with the Bounty Hunter.
Okay.
But this was, I talked to Chris at the beginning of the 6th year, and I said, if I write one, can I direct it? And he said, sure. So I just, it just kind of came to me from looking in the newspaper. There was a home run race that year, and there was an article about a minor leaguer who'd hit all these home runs in 1947, which was the same year the Roswell crash, but also the same year that Jackie Robinson went to the. It was just all this stuff that kind of was handed to me from the air, and then it just became that. And then I also like that scene a lot, because I loved Gillian's so good in it, and what was nice was what? You don't? I think you're adorable in that.
I look like I'm 12.
Yeah, you look young, but you're adorable, and Gillian was kind enough, and I'd never said this, but I was aware that, when I was directing, that she really, I know she was tired, and there were times when we would be more prepared or less, let's say, than other times. And she really, she really was there, and you can see it in that scene. She's really just doing just wonderful work for me, and I really felt like it was for me, and it was just really, I recognized it, and I don't think I've ever told you, but
you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one of the things in directing that scene I didn't know, because I only wrote it, I didn't know that it looks crappy to swing 2 people swing. In my mind, it was this beautiful swing that we were both going to pull off.
Yeah.
And it looks crappy.
I kind of look like I'm hanging on, and my feet might be off the ground.
It doesn't quite work.
No.
It looks like we're wrestling over a stick.
Did you go into the writer's room to write it, or did you write it outside?
I wrote it at home.
You wrote it at home?
Yeah, and then I just sent it to Chris, and nothing. There was no rewriting, just as is.
And there was no boarding of the story?
No, I don't. I never did that. Did you do that? You bored?
I did a little. I think after I did my outline and I did a first draft, we needed to go in with a board because it wasn't supernatural enough. We needed to go in and board it in order to figure out where that could come in.
Can we talk about your episode, All Things?
I had this thought in my head of like, where was I when you were coming up with all those ideas and having all those guys? And I thought, oh well, I got married and had a baby, and then I got divorced, and then but never mind.
You were. You were having fun.
I mean, a similar thing of not, well, I think when people started to ask me if I was ever, you know, when Mulder had started, Mulder?
I was afraid I was going to do that. So.
Well, I did it. There you go. That was
Really?
completely, that was not on purpose.
Wow.
When David started writing and directing, you know, people would say, "Are you ever?" And if, you know, for the longest time, I said no. I just, it never occurred to me. And then I think enough people said it that I kind of thought, do I have an idea? Do I have any ideas? And then one afternoon, an idea came to me that was based on an image, and the outline for the story just kind of came. I just literally sat down for like 3 hours straight and wrote out the outline, and that was kind of the beginning. And I handed it to Chris, and you know, he was a little surprised, I think. And you know, I said, if I turn this into a script, could I potentially direct it? And he said, well, turn it into a script first, and then we'll see. No, valid, very valid. I'd never
fair.
written anything.
That's
It's very
fair.
fair. It's, you know, it's big TV, grown-up stuff, and and so I did, and I think I went at it myself first, and then Frank came on as a kind of a mentor and Frank Spotnitz, sorry, and then I know that there were a couple of scenes that I didn't have time to get to fully write, that they were, you know, to be written scenes by the time we started shooting. I remember writing in my trailer as well, which I just can't imagine doing that in the midst of the schedule that we had, but somehow I got done. And, yeah.
Okay.